Awesome. All right, cool. So if you want to give a little bit of background, Sam, of what you were, not necessarily struggling with, but what your challenges were, what you're working through at the moment, and then we'll talk about mine.
Yeah, sure. Well, as you say earlier, mate, it's kind of like this ongoing sort of thing that I've been carrying around with for like most of my adult life, which like going through the whole platinum process has been like really beneficial. And being a part of Black and knowing Mark Ford as well, he set me up with a couple of people, Frank and Jill, for example, and just really starting to talk about this sort of stuff throughout my life that I've never, before SFM, never even talked about with anybody. It's been starting to like take quite a big weight off, to be honest, mate.
Awesome.
So yeah, I really kind of, before I joined, it was always like I was pushing it out the way with drink, or I just go off traveling and, never have to face it. And I started, and then the first like 2-3 months into the journey, it's mainly all sort of tech stuff and watching webinars anyways when you first get started.
Yeah.
So I built the website, and then as soon as I finished the website, it was like after a couple of months of signing up, I was like, yeah, making great progress. And then it's just been like, bang, like brick wall since then.
Yeah.
Mainly just suffering with like some lack of sort of creativity, but this is kind of like a side subject. And then I went to Phoenix, right? Because I first joined and I thought, to get over the anxiety and to start kind of doing these things that make me uncomfortable is how I'm really going to progress myself and what I need to do. So Phoenix was like, yeah, I've got to go there, because I didn't go Black straight away, did I? Because I was like, I need money for this trip and that.
Yeah.
So went to Phoenix, and towards the end, I was like, because this whole sort of big group sort of scenario is something that's like quite out there for me, So towards the end of that, I was a little bit like, which was like, and that made me feel really down, because obviously everybody come back with like super motivated and like super like, because I've always seemed to struggle with like this connection with people, I found. Yeah. So I was always like, when I come home, it felt like I was a bit disappointed with how it just felt like to me that I never really made like many connections with people, and it just felt like, the same old sort of thing. And that was like the start of like this sort of crash, which has been like for the last kind of, about a month now.
Yeah.
But the last sort of week is starting to get quite a lot better with all this, as I say, this platinum process going through and that. But just it brought up a lot of old stuff for me, mate. Like how I was feeling a long time ago when like this anxiety was its peak for me.
Yeah.
And what I did was really stupid, because I was just, and I know it's bad because I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction and positive thought vibrations and stuff. But there's something still there within me that's like wallowing in self-pity was the way I described it to somebody I was on a call with the other day, which is, it's not serving you, but you just keep telling yourself that you're not good enough. It's like you're not going to be able to overcome these sort of challenges. So it was like a big sort of mix between a lack of self-belief and this anxiety for, needing to, or feeling like I needed to make progress and start becoming successful with it, which I've kind of chilled out on a little bit now. But that's kind of been my recent struggles, mate.
Okay. So with the, so I think it feels like there's a couple of things there, a couple of maybe different things at play. So the anxiety itself, is there a point that you identified from platinum where it originally stemmed from?
Oh yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, and it was quite it's a little bit of a story in itself, because I was like about 12, 13.
Yeah.
And I went to like the big school, obviously at 11, and started to hang around with a group of friends like from football. And it was kind of like my thing to fit in. I felt like I needed to be somebody that I wasn't.
Yeah.
So I'd already gone through this kind of self-analysis before this process, and I was smoking quite a lot of marijuana.
Yeah.
When I was, well, even from the age of like 13 until like 16.
Yeah.
And there was one time when I was 15 and I was just about to go to Turkey with two of my friends, and I got absolutely lobster sunburn, man, trying to get a bit of a tan. Because I'm a bit of a pasty boy anyway, so it's like trying to get a tan is quite difficult.
Yeah.
And ended up like completely sunburned. And I thought then it would be a great idea to go out at night and smash a bag of magic mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that was probably, I think I had it down there as the worst experience of my life on my timeline.
Yeah.
Because it was just, savage experience. Obviously a completely bad trip because of all this sunburn and that.
Yeah.
And that kind of like altered something a little bit in my mind. And then when I come back from, it didn't at first, but when I come back from Turkey, it was like, that was the first time I had a break from doing all these drugs.
Yeah.
And I come back and it was like something completely sort of changed when I started to smoke again. It made me really paranoid, and I just started to be really conscious of like what I was doing. You know, whereas before it would just be like, I'm out and about. I was always quite shy, but it was like, then I was like really started to think like what really had this huge thing always in my mind about how other people were perceiving me.
Right. Gotcha.
Which has followed me around for quite a lot throughout my adult life, but it's really sort of dumbing down now, like with all the meditation that I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it felt like progress, but it was just like that whole experience of Phoenix was just like, it brought up so much sort of stuff that was like, I'm still not where I want to be. But
do you still feel sort of very self-conscious around people in SFM?
It depends. Not like depends on the group, really.
Yeah.
It's mainly just big gatherings of people. Then I feel a little bit like that. Yeah, but it's like that anyway. Like even with anybody, it's like that. But the smaller the group and that, then I'm all right.
Just a one-on-one stuff, maybe small group of people, all good.
Yeah,
what's the limit?
I really don't know, mate. I don't know. It's like it's kind of fluctuating. Like when I first joined, it was like really terrible. Speaking on the webinars and that, and still now, like I wouldn't. The small ones, I'm all right. Like as soon as I can feel my way in, then I'm all right.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll be quite happy to talk on your webinars and stuff. But like going on like a mastermind with Justin Wolf and that, then I would be like really nervous about doing that. I know for sure. Okay.
Because something like that, I mean, that's interesting, because I think perception's obviously a big part of this for anyone that's going through anything like this. Because like when you talk on my webinars, whether it's 10 people or 100 people, it's still the same thing. The only difference is in your mind. You're thinking, oh, this number of people is bigger than that number of people, therefore I should feel a different way. But really, it's like the activity is exactly the same. And I think something that I went through as well, because I understand exactly what you mean by the webinar thing, because I was the same, right? When I first talked on, what was the first one I spoke on? I think Marketing Blueprint Live. Like I was shitting myself. I was, really, really scared. It was the first one that I'd done. And then since then, the smaller webinars were easier. So we had like private mastermind groups and stuff. And like the Black Mastermind group, I was fine on. I did a presentation on that, and there's like, 15 people. But there was suddenly a point where, but the more I talked on stuff, like I talked once on the Visionary call after I'd done a few webinars, and obviously the Visionary call is like 200 plus people. And at the time I was like, really scared again. So I'm thinking, is like the whole SFM community seeing this? But then suddenly I just suddenly thought, well, why is it any different? Because all I'm doing is looking at this lens and doing what I know I'm comfortable with anyway. And it was kind of like, I reached a point of doing it enough times that suddenly I could realise that actually this isn't scary. And the only way that I got to that was through repetition, just doing it again and again and again. And then I got comfortable enough with it that was fine. But I don't. Yeah, I think the webinar thing isn't the problem really, because obviously every time you've come out on webinars, you've been fantastic. Like you came out on the wake up call and blew everybody's minds with your awesomeness. So I think doing that, just keep doing it, just keep practicing it, just keep coming out whenever you get the opportunity, and over time, eventually, that will just subside. That will reduce. Right?
I do agree with you, and I feel like that is the only way to truly to start getting over it, because it's just what you build up, as you say, it's just your perception of it, right? Yeah. And the more that you shy away and make a big deal out of it, the bigger that sort of gremlin becomes.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is why, like, coming home after Phoenix, it was like, I let myself develop stuff now that I've been like, shit, man, it's like, it's turned into a big deal doing this stuff again, you know? Whereas before it wasn't like that.
I think to take it then a stage further, I think let's talk about the maybe being self-critical thing, because I think that's coming into this. I'm sorry, I'm just trying not to sneeze, by the way. Got like maybe dust around here or something, so if I do sneeze, so like the thing about the webinars, or feeling like you're not making the progress that you want to make with the website and stuff like that, that whole self-critical self-talk thing, have you ever looked into self-talk, or sort of focused on your self-talk or anything like that?
No, I haven't, no.
Okay, there's an awesome book which I don't have sitting around here, it's probably in my other room. It's called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Give me 1 sec, I'm just going to double check I've got it. Found it. Right, on there. So it's What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter.
It's a good name, isn't it? Shad Helmstetter.
Shad Helmstetter. I was recommended this by Steve Greenhouse, and it is a really, really powerful book just to really start becoming aware of the dialogue that's going in your mind and how it's affecting you. Because if you combine this book with The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which you may have read.
Yeah, I've listened to that twice. That's right up my street, that book, yeah.
Yeah, I've listened to it a couple of times as well. But if you combine this book with The Power of Now, it really helps you realise the difference between staying present in the moment and between running future-paced dialogue, future-paced scenarios, which is obviously the egoic mind doing its thing, like past, future. This really ties that in to help you recognise what's going on in there. So I'd say read that book. It's not in audio, unfortunately, which is why I've got it in hardback, because I normally do audio books. But that is a really good book to help, recognise what's going on there. So I feel like, from what you're saying, most of it is this kind of thing. It's like anxiety coming from a dialogue that's running about a perception that maybe you're not good enough, or you're not good around people, or things from your past that are affecting the way you think about the future and all this stuff. So I feel like the solution, if you would call it a solution, is to, one, keep doing what you're doing, because I can relate to this. I'll talk about my journey in SFM in a second. Just to keep doing what you're doing, keep working on it, keep meditating, keep reading stuff like The Power of Now, like this book, keep attending the webinars, keep coming out on calls, just keep practicing exactly what you're doing. And over time, you're going to realize that this stuff just becomes, number's not the right word, but you get less affected by this kind of stuff just through practice and just through working on yourself. Now, in terms of so let me talk about the anxiety, because my big experience of anxiety was in January in SFM. So I'd quit my job in September the 30th, 2016. And I'd literally spent 3 months working 14-hour days. So like October, November, December, just literally, crushing, get the website done, get my marketing out there, going through all the webinars, all the training, everything was just literally head down, wasn't thinking about anything else except for moving forwards. And then Christmas, I had 2 weeks out. So I did like a little bit. I checked my marketing maybe once a day. I maybe sent a broadcast saying Merry Christmas or something. But basically I stopped working for 2 weeks. just to spend time with family, chill out, all that kind of stuff. And then in January, when I came back, I sat down and I thought, right, let's look at where I am. So basically, when I quit my job, I got a loan to finance Black. I had a pot of capital to pay for my marketing and my living expenses. So time was of the essence. And in January, when I sat down, I analysed everything, I looked at my financial situation, I realised I had like 2.5 months left until oblivion, until I'd run out of money. And I was like, oh shit, like this is real now, because I'd had like a couple of app sales, but I was suddenly, I think I decided then to spend $3,000 a month on marketing instead of 1,500 quid, because I figured that the more that I could spend on marketing and the less that I'd spend on living expenses, because the time would be less, the more value I'd get in data and the quicker I could learn. But through deciding to spend $3,000, I had 2.5 months left before I ran out of money. And that was scary as fuck, because that was like my ultimate fear at the time, was that I would fail and I'd have to go back into working full time, and everyone I knew would be like, oh, we knew he wouldn't do it, and blah, blah, blah. So like the fear of judgment was a massive, massive thing for me. That was like the ultimate thing I didn't want to do. Fear of failure, fear of judgment. Didn't want that. And so I went into like full on anxiety mode, like heart palpitations every night. Like I couldn't fucking sleep. I was just lying in bed, like going, I'm like, Jesus Christ, just go to sleep, just chill out. But I'd constantly I couldn't stop thinking about what would happen if I failed. What would I do? You know, my whole world would fall apart and all this kind of stuff. And I was on an elite call with Justin one time in January, and I came out and I talked about this. I was like, look, I'm really struggling at the moment with this thing. I need to figure out how to overcome it. And the thing that he talked, I can't remember exactly how he worded it or exactly what we went through. It's to do with uncertainty and certainty, and it was to do with embracing uncertainty and stop trying to hold on to certainty, which is what I was doing. I wanted to be sure that I could succeed instead of just letting go and embracing what I needed to embrace to move forward. And after that call, it was a day or two later, I was in my kitchen, and I think I just made a silver sale or something. I was still, my self-talk was going, that's not enough. You need more than that. You need to get better results. You need a black sale. You need a black sale. You're going to fail, blah, 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 all that shit. And I suddenly thought, in my sales career that I was in before, the time when I was most effective would be the end of the sales quarter, right? So we had our targets to hit. We had incentives on the line. We had, you know, everything to work for in that moment. And in the last day or two of the sales quarter, I would always just be absolutely devastated. Like I'd close every deal under the sun. I'd like do like, what was it? 2/3 of my entire month's target I did in like one day once. And people used to fear me. Like they might be sort of 20, 30 grand ahead of me at the end of the quarter, but they refused to accept that they could win because they knew that I would just crush everything in the last couple of days. So I suddenly thought, well, hold on. If I got that effective when I got closer and closer to the deadline, the closer I got to the deadline, the more lethal I became. I suddenly thought, why am I fearing this? Because that's the time when I'm at my absolute optimum and most effective self. So surely I should be embracing this. I should be welcoming, like, getting closer to oblivion or the edge of the abyss or whatever. I should try and, like, you know, go for that, because that's where I'm going to become my best self that I can possibly be. And that suddenly flipped it on its head. As soon as I had that realization, I stopped fearing the unknown, and instead I started subconsciously feeling like, bring it on, you know, come on, let's do this. I want to see what I can do. I want to see what I'm capable of. And as soon as I started thinking or welcoming that uncertainty, what happened was my actions and everything that I did, it wasn't from a place of fear. It wasn't from a place of, oh, we put this campaign out and it doesn't work. I don't know what's going to happen. Oh shit, let's do it. No, it's not good enough. You know, all this stuff. Instead, it was like, right, I want to get to that point, so let's put this thing out there. I'm going to see what's going to happen. Bang, and I put it out there, and I spend aggressively, and I, you know, try targeting I hadn't tried before, and I make bigger decisions because it wasn't coming from a place of fear. It was coming from a place of like, bring it on, you know, let's do this. And that was the switch. So the thing that I'd say is, if you can realize that you're sitting here where you are, right? You're here in your life because everything that's ever happened to you you've never been defeated. You know, you've never everything's never not been okay. Everything's always worked out in the end, because you wouldn't be here if it hadn't, right? And if you can realize that, if you can think about all the bad experiences that have happened in your life, realize you've always overcome them. So whatever happens, you're always going to be okay. Like, there's no possibility that you're not going to be okay, because it will always work out in the end, unless you die. You know, that's the only thing. And you're not going to die from SFM. So realistically, once you can get your brain to twig that whatever happens, you're going to be fine, and actually embrace that and accept that, it kind of frees you up to just get more aggressive with what you're doing. Just start driving forwards with what you're doing, instead of fearing the uncertainty of the future of what you're doing. So I do it as a little exercise. If I were you, I'd just sit down, just think of all the times that you were, you know, convinced that your world was going to end, or convinced that everything was going to fall apart, or you're going to go into financial ruin, or, you know, whatever. All the times you were convinced that shit was going to hit the fan, and then it didn't. And just think about what happened in that moment. How was it okay? Well, it was okay because X, Y, Z, or this, or whatever. You know, just always just start to, you know, trigger your mind into realizing that this stuff, it's never as bad as it seems at the time. You always come through it. You know, you probably become stronger because of all the things that you've done. And I'm sure Platinum has taught you that as well. Like, all these events that have made you into who you are actually good things. It's the only time we become better is when we're challenged by that stuff to, you know, to go up the other side, right? So that, for me, I feel was the biggest thing, just embracing that uncertainty, and not just telling myself, I embrace uncertainty, but I'm shit scared of it. You know, it's like you get in your mind to actually accept that. That's the difference. So I would go through that. I would do that exercise, sit down, realize you've always been okay. You will always be okay. Everything will never not be okay. It will always work out in the end. So realistically, if it always works out, what is there to fear? Because all that we're doing is we're creating this big ass demon in our minds of this future that we're, you know, we feel like what could happen if it goes wrong, if we don't make it, and blah, blah, blah. But it's all going to work out. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it does, mate. Yeah. I can relate to it in a certain aspect where, you know, like even just shooting a video, like when you go into it with the mindset of, you know, sort of like anxious to do it, or, you know, you're not really wanting to do it. You're like, you know, you've got to do it. And you just watch it back, you're like, you can tell just by the way that you're presenting that it's coming from that place.
Yeah.
But when you fully do, like, embrace it to be like, yeah, this is like exciting challenge. This is, and it's coming from that sort of place that, you know, it's going to develop you and it's what you need to do rather than from fear.
Yeah.
It's like, you can just immediately see from like the way that you come across. You're saying the same words, but it's just the way that it comes across is just completely different.
Exactly.
But at times I struggle with like this. I know it completely, mate. And it goes down to this thing as like I firmly into this law of attraction and that. And I know what I need to do, but there's times that's just like, I need to be able to catch myself doing it. And I feel like this book probably will be quite beneficial to, because get into the present moment, observe myself with the negative thoughts, and have something to slot in there to change that sort of dialogue will be, I'm sure will be very beneficial.
Yeah, it talks about how there's, I haven't read it for a while actually, I might read it again. So it talks about how there's 4 different levels, or 5 levels of self-talk, I think. And like one of them is, see if it says it on the chapters, the 5 levels of self-talk, chapter 9. I can't remember what they are, but one is like the base level, like reptile brain, really destructive type self-talk. And then another one's to do with like the monkey brain. And I'm talking from, what book am I talking about? I think it's Daniel Priestley who calls it the reptile brain, the monkey brain, and the emperor brain. So reptile brain is like base survival. Monkey brain is like, middle class type stuff. I want to be financially secure. I want to have my holiday a year. I want to have this and have that. And then emperor mind is like entrepreneurial, creative state, you know, real top level stuff. But yeah, just talks about the 4 levels of self-talk. I can't remember what they are, so I can't really talk about
it. Yeah, no, I look forward to going through that, mate. Yeah, I did see it on your recommended book list, and to be honest, I have worked my way through quite a lot of that already. So, but I think the reason why I haven't touched it was because it was not an audio. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favourite one that you've gone through so far?
I'm not really sure I really like Start With Why. By Simon Sinek. I thought that was a fascinating book. Really valuable content in there as well. 5 second rule, practically speaking, I think that's like a real sort of game changer for me.
You know, I haven't actually read the 5 second rule yet. I mean, I know about the 5 second rule from watching her videos, but I haven't actually read her book.
Yeah, I think it's like, because you read the kind of intro for it, right? And you're like, it can't be 8 hours worth of content there.
Yeah.
But it's really, really interesting. Yeah, it's really take a lot of value from that. Even like the core, like there's always a core story in there. Hers was getting out of bed in the morning.
That's it.
To do the stuff she needed to do. And it's like all this thing about, you know, like when you hit the snooze button and you start a new sleep cycle. And I've really, like, I inadvertently was testing that this week, because normally I jump straight out of bed at 6 o'clock to start meditation.
Yeah.
And a couple of days this week, I ended up hitting the snooze. And then it really does a completely different sort of waking up experience. One's like you jump up, you're refreshed. But if you hit the snooze and try and wake up, it's like much more of a struggle. Yeah. So even just that one small little application of it was really fascinating. And the way that she described as well how to reframe anxiety, like when you start to get that first kind of heart racing for whatever reason. For example, sat in the Gold Conference, loads of people coming in. If you can just like do the 5 second rule, take control, and then just like start to tell yourself that you feel excited, just reframe that anxiety for something else.
Yeah.
Then you prevent the mind stepping in and escalating whatever it is. Trying to figure out why all this sort of mad stuff's going on in your body.
Yeah.
So learning how to reframe anxiety just by that small little shift in sort of thought pattern. I've not really had a chance to explore it too much, but I have done it a couple of times actually, where I've started to get a bit anxious, and it seemed to work fairly well.
That's awesome.
So there's loads of different practical examples in there, and she's quite entertaining as well. So it's definitely worth the listen to. But she talks quite fast. So, I mean, 1.5 times speed, Dan, is probably the most you can go to on that one.
Speed one, then, no?
You can't do 2 times with that. Like, it's just like, it's mad. So
Gary V's Ask Gary V book, and he talks quite fast as well. So 2 times speed was like I put it on 2 times speed, but I had to really listen to what he was saying, because he's like a motor mouth as well. So I'm guessing she's the same. Yeah,
it depends what you're doing. I find if I'm out for my run, I can really listen on 2 times speed, because I'm just focused on listening.
Yeah.
And just plodding along. But if I'm sat there, I can get distracted and I lose quite a lot. But Psycho-Cybernetics was a great read.
Oh, I love that one.
It's good. I think that was on one of your top 5. I think I read your top 5 first, to be honest.
Did you?
Yeah. The one thing it was okay, but it wasn't like one of my favourites.
Yeah.
Science of Getting Rich was more up my alley.
Yeah. Wallace Wattles.
Yeah, it was not too long either. And The Power of Now was probably my favourite.
Yeah.
But yeah, all sort of like, it's like a different world, mate. So even just coming into the SFM and being introduced to all these sort of books, and that's had such a positive impact. And it's just, I need to stop like with this, letting these negative sort of talk go on, mate, because that's kind of took me back so many notches.
Yeah.
In progress.
The thing with it is, bud, like when you're in 4 months now, is that right? 4 months?
Yeah, it's like almost 4 months now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I think back, so I'm 12 months coming on, 13 months now, so I'm 13 months in. And when I think of my first 4 months, I mean, when you're going through this process of like massive change, you're learning all this new stuff, your entire life's different, you're focusing on different things, you're learning different things, you're developing yourself, like, it's natural that you're going to have, your mind is going to be like struggling with certain things, or it's going to go into this mode where, because everything's so new, you start doubting yourself. You wonder whether you're good enough. And like, when I think back over my journey, it probably wasn't till about maybe probably May or June time. So that would have been about November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So maybe you call it 9 months. Probably about 9 months in when I really started feeling totally chilled and totally confident and like, I've got this. And it wasn't even financial results. It was nothing about financial results. It was like a belief in myself that I know what I'm doing. I know the journey I'm on. I know it's going to be okay. I don't fear the oblivion or the abyss, because whenever I get close to it, I'll always just make shit happen. Like, I mean, I got down to £29 in my bank account in March, which you might have heard me talk about before. And I was like, I was completely chilled. You know, I compare that to January, where I was freaking out that I had 2.5 months left, versus March, when I got to 2.5 months left. I was like, it's fine. I've got this. I'll figure something out. And then literally the day before, I had a £500 loan payment due the next day for my black finance. And I had 29 quid in my bank account. And I was like, well, SFM was going to pay me at some point, because that was due at some point in those few days, but I didn't know which day it was going to come in. Plus I had a tax rebate of £4,000 that was due at some point in that month. And I was like, it'll be all right. I'll figure it out. Doesn't matter. It's fine. It's going to be all right. And that tax rebate came in that 1 o'clock that day before the loan payment was due. And I was like, see, I got this. It's all good. And then from there, like, I got close to the edge a couple of times as well when I started spending even more aggressively on marketing. And before my results really started going like that, I got close again a couple of times. But I just, find more capital from places. And I'm like, I can always find more. It's fine. And at the time, I if I sat there and tried to analyse where I might get it from, as in try and find certainty in uncertainty, I'd have started freaking out, because I'd be like, I can't see the solution. I can't find it. But instead, I'm like, I got this. Law of attraction. I'll just manifest the shit out of it. It's fine. I believe I'll find it, and I'll find it. And I found it. And it's, it's all good. And so just my point is that if you keep going through this and you keep working on yourself, you keep developing yourself, you keep reading the books, you keep going to the webinars, you keep immersing yourself, you keep doing what you need to do, you keep doing the 5 things that leaders do, eventually you reach a point where your mindset becomes so strong that none of this outside world shit will really faze you anymore. Like you've got it, you've got control of it. Or not control, but you've got control of yourself to the point where you're okay with whatever happens in the world, right?
Yeah, so, I think as well, sorry to interrupt, but I think it's like I'm trying to, I'm self-sabotaging, I think, at times, mate, because I know what I need to do. Mm. But I think, like, sometimes I find myself maybe even holding on to this anxiety as an excuse, because I know, like, everybody struggles with coming out on webinars and, doing videos and stuff, and it feels like I'm clinging on to something as, like, an excuse why I am not progressing, because I feel like talking to you now, and it's just you just saying how easy it is to actually continue with those things, like showing up to the webinars and doing the 5 things, it's stuff that I haven't actually been doing consistently, so it's like, why haven't I been doing that? Because it's just this kind of self sort of sabotage thing that's going on there, which is quite annoying.
So just let me reframe a question a different way. So if I said, it's 2 questions. So if I said number 1, who do you want to be? What type of person do you want to be in 12 months? In like the way that you're behaving, the way that you feel about yourself, the way that you're showing up to your business. Who do you want to be in 12 months? Who are you working towards?
Yeah, I want to get to the position where I can legitimately come from a place of just assisting other people. Yeah. And I know that's like a big prominent thing with the SFM, but it's like within me, I feel like my big block is in spiritual practices and in kind of life in general. It's just being able to fully kind of connect with people. And I think that that's going to come with, constantly giving to people. because there's been a couple of incidences that's happened recently just before my purpose discussion with JJ, and I got pretty emotional about just a small little event when he asked me what the last thing I did that actually mattered. And it was, I had to think for a little while, and that was making me quite emotional, because I was like, throughout my life, I've been like really sort of self-centered and stuff.
Yeah.
And I felt quite down about that. And then I come up with a couple of things where I gave some stuff away and helping people out recently. And just that bit of that selflessness and that compassionate act towards people was just like, made me like, on a sort of spiritual level, felt like it opened some like blockage as well that I've been having, like some energy blockage around the heart, and that it just like recently, it just feels like that's starting to open up. And I know that my progress, which my main sort of goal in life is just spiritual journey. I love doing all the marketing, and if that gets me to reach out to people and help them in this way, then that's great as well. So just in any way to be in a position where I'm like at peace completely within myself, and in a position where I can just get on calls with people and just help them take whatever step they need, whether that's like they want to learn about like self-development or spirituality, or they need help with their business, their marketing, setting this up or that up.
Yeah.
That's kind of the level that I want to get to, start doing that. But of course, I feel that like the business needs to, myself and like my sort of understanding of marketing and the tech side, so that I can help people within our community, feels like this is the place where it's going to probably begin and even end for me. It's like just getting to that position where I can come from, feel like I've got value to give to people, you know, and help them on their journey.
Okay. And so besides the results, so besides feeling that you need to have it all together first yourself before you can help other people, is there anything else that's stopping you being that person now?
No, there's not. No, there's just this battle going on with these things that I mentioned with JJ. It's like there's the ego here, and there's this place of compassion that I want to come from.
Yeah. And
it's just like getting out my own way, you know, and doing what feels like it's natural to come from here. And I'll tell you the story now, I might as well. It was like I was sat there in Canterbury, like the local city near me, and I was looking at this homeless person sat on the street corner. This was like the main subject of my purpose discussion. And I sat there, I was at Pret a Manger having a salad.
Yeah.
Didn't look as good as the one in your ad though, but I was having cheapy old salad, and I was watching her for ages, about 10 minutes, and just what, you know, she was just staring like into the abyss, like, you know, just playing on this recorder that she had. And there's like busy street, like hundreds of people walking past, you know, occasional person flick a coin at her. She was just like staring. So, you know, like within me, there's this sort of like energy sort of bubbling like in my heart that, you know, just go over there. It's not a big deal. Just sit down, say, yeah, I really enjoy like your recorder playing. How long have you been playing? Just make her feel like she matters, you know?
Yeah.
Give her some money on your way. But there was this huge battle. There's this like this going, just do it. And my mind's going, nah. My mind's going, because I like just meeting new people and going over there. It felt like quite awkward to go and do that. So I had this sort of like anxiety thing to go over and just do that. So it felt like there's this kind of struggle that I'm going on with at the moment. And even now I'm looking at things like to go and do random volunteering near me, because I feel it give me a bit more purpose and sort of passion towards what I'm doing every day, and get me out of the house as well, which will help. But you know, like I'm procrastinating about that, because, and I know within me that's going to take me to where I want to be on so many different levels in life, to help other people, to be compassionate, to kind of, you know, start to open like the heart chakra and stuff. It's just on so many different levels. That's what I need to do. But there's still this, I was talking about it last week, but I still haven't signed up for it, because there's this, no, you don't want to do that. You know what I mean? You've got work to do, ego kicking in. So there's this battle going on at the moment, mate, which is kind of where I feel a lot of my energy is being lost.
So that 12-month from now version of yourself, obviously that version of yourself would do all these things, would go and speak to that homeless person, would, you know, volunteer, would do this, would do that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And so so that version of yourself, what would they have that you, or what would he have that you don't have besides a different result in his business?
Yeah, probably. Probably nothing.
You're still with the same person, you know.
Yeah.
You're still you. So if the only thing that is holding you back is a result in your business, how do you think your life would change instantly if you weren't attached to that being a thing that you need? Right? If we could take that out the equation and you could realize that I don't need that to be that version of Sam Cook, how do you reckon your day-to-day would change right now if you didn't feel that you needed that to become that person?
Yeah, I wasn't very clear on that because I kind of went through two different stories. Because I took it from a business aspect at first, talking about helping people in the community, and then I'd come up with this other story.
Yeah.
About being compassionate in general. And of course, the business from that first aspect is just completely irrelevant. You know what I mean? Being successful in my business 12 months down the line is not going to be any different for me going to help that person now. But the first instance that I initially talked about was like, or that I was initially going to get at, but I lost my train of thought. It was like this, you know, coming from a place of value for people in our community. You know, like it feels like this. Like the other day, I really enjoyed getting on a call with Anna, and because she's just building a website with Optimized Press, so being able to offer, you know, say like, you need to do this, and this. It's great. I'd much rather do that than work on my own. So it's just like, it feels like there's knowledge that I need to get and experience that I need to get. And I feel like I need to have achieved some sort of success to feel like I'm at integrity of what I'm telling people, you know, like I can't really offer people I haven't done any marketing. So, you know, I can't really come at a place of value for that. So I feel like that's probably like the thing that's preventing me from, you know, reaching out.
Okay, so with what you've done so far, because believe me, you've made very good progress so far in your website and everything you've done there. So what would you say are the things that you feel you can give value on at this point?
Well, it's definitely, yes, it's got to be something. Yeah, like, well, of course, I know a little bit about the compliance side of building a website, the technical side of building a website on Optimized Press.
Yeah.
I'm just starting, actually. I know it's a bit of a sidetrack and I should really be marketing, but I'm actually getting used to using Divi as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel that's going to be tremendously value for, and the main reason why I'm doing that is so like in the future, I know when I am successful with it and there's people coming in from my advertising, I'm in a position to be like you are on the webinars and be like, you know, if you've got Divi, this is how you do it. If you've got Optimized Press, this is how you do it. So that's just something that I wanted to do as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it shouldn't be too long before I can offer some value on building websites in general.
I'd say you already can, because looking at your site, compared to a lot of people that are starting out, like the conversation that we had when we talked about your website, I think it was right before you finished it, I think, and you wanted a little bit of advice on a couple of things. And the conversation that we had, like, it was easy because you knew exactly what I was talking about and vice versa. It was like, right, you need to do this. You're like, okay, so if I do this, that work. And I'm like, yeah. So you do that. You add this bit of code here or whatever. I think did I touch on CSS? I don't know. But you understood everything that was happening. You were quick, you were efficient, you got it. Like, your website was pretty much done anyway. You'd already finished it yourself and you'd done it in a really quick time. So your ability on that compared to 95% of people was way up there, right? You can give value on that. How many people have come out on webinars or wake-up calls before? Probably, maybe 5 to 10% of the community, perhaps. I reckon I don't know what the figures are, but there's a lot of people that are way too fearful to do that. You've done that, you've overcome your fear. Then you get onto the whole thing of overcoming fear. You shot videos in public. How many people have shot videos in public in front of people? It was only recently that I stopped fearing that. And I shared with Cordelia recently that everyone thinks, oh, Dan's so confident on video, Dan's great on video, and blah, 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 blah. But it was only in probably the last, I don't know, couple of months, like 2 or 3 months, that I genuinely stopped procrastinating around shooting video. And I just shoot it wherever I am, in public, with people. It doesn't matter. I don't care anymore. But it was only 2 or 3 months ago. Like, before that, I would still have that same anxiety where I'm like, oh, shit, I don't want to do video. There's people here. And I'd put it off, and I'd be like, oh, I'm not quite sure what I want to say. I'm hovering over the live button, and I'm like, oh, crap, I'll do it later, put the phone away, blah, blah, blah. Like, I still get that shit, you know? And so you've shot, you and your pretty much one of your first videos were standing in a shopping centre with a selfie stick with people. I would never have done that. I was terrified of that. So you can give value there, overcoming fear. You know, if you're coming from a place of anxiety and feeling all these things, and you feel that that's like a big part of maybe not who you are, but a big part of your journey right now is overcoming this kind of anxiety and stuff, and yet you can still do that, your ability to overcome fear is higher than mine was. It's higher than almost everybody. For anyone who wants advice on overcoming fear, go to this guy, you know. That's got it. Right? So there's so many, when you really start boiling it down, and when you can, maybe, here's an idea. Try and create an avatar, or like a person, an alternative person, but who has the same issues that you feel that you're dealing with at the moment, right? And imagine that person who is not you. Let's just call him Simon. I don't know, Simon Cook, right? This person, how would you coach him into dealing with the things that he's dealing with? What would you recognize in him where he could help other people? When you look at Simon Cook, when he's managed to shoot a video in front of people in public, but he feels that there's nothing he can give of value, what would you say to Simon Cook when he says that? And the way that you would interact with Simon Cook is not going to be coming from behind your own lens. It's not going to be coming from behind your own, you know, with your ego and your dialogue, because you're looking at him as another person. So in the same way that I can say this to you, because I don't feel the same fears that you feel, and when you say I've got nothing of value to give, I'm like, Sam, what are you talking about? There's all these things that I could bring up. I can say that because I'm not you. So if you create Simon Cook, who is the equivalent of Sam Cook, who's exactly the same in every way, but he's not you, you'll see stuff in Simon Cook that you can't see in yourself. And that might be a really powerful way to help start to realize, when you tell yourself you've got no value, you've got shit tons of value. Because if you can see Simon Cook's got value, well, Sam Cook's got the same value. You get it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think that the main thing for me, Dan, is like this whole sort of, I tell myself that I'm not good enough. I think that's subconsciously at times, most of the time. Yeah. But, because like even after like, and I'm very like lots of always have to analyze what I do. How was that perceived by other people?
Yeah.
You know, like even after I finish this call, for sure there'll be something running, probably not consciously now because I've brought it up, but subconsciously it'll be like, I wonder how I looked on that call. You know, there's always this thing.
You look bad, and who cares?
Yeah, I know, but this is this is just, and I know consciously it's like it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's just that thing there, and I feel like I am making progress with it, to be honest. And it's like these kind of chats and the chats that I've had with other people, and just like the support. Like I didn't do anything in the video challenge for 3 weeks and put a video up the other day, and
yeah,
so much support from everybody about. And that's the fact when you reached out to me for this call, it's just like, you know, in my mind I was thinking, you know, like all sorts of stuff, you know, like about, you know, like, you know, how I was perceived by other people and that. And then in reality, like you see how everybody genuinely feels, and you're like, what's all this crap that's running in your head? You know,
I just had another idea. Right? You've just given me an idea. I wonder if this would be interesting. It might help for this kind of thing. So take for example when you come off this call, right? If do you journal or anything like that?
No, I did take an idea from Cordelia actually to start to it's not really journaling. It's just kind of like, you know, what you want, or what, you know, you feel like what direction you want to go, and just start logging it all down.
Yeah, because I don't journal. Like, you know, I know it's a good thing to do, and I know a lot of people do it. I personally haven't done it. Probably a bad thing. Maybe I should do it. I don't know. But if you write down, so every time that you maybe come off a call like this, just have like a pad beside you at all times, you know. And in fact, let me phrase this a different way. So when you shot that video that I reached out to you from, so you had that dialogue running. Oh, should I post it? Should I comment? Have I come off in the right way? How are people going to perceive this? So that was going after that, yeah.
No, this was before the video. Like this was just my dialogue about in general, about how I was being perceived in the community and stuff.
Right.
And yeah, then, you know, I just made this video to say, you know, like,
but that was
going on
when you shot that video. That was prominent in your mind.
Yeah.
It had been before. It didn't start from that. It was obviously, you know, before, but it was still prominent in that moment. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So my idea is, so every time that you have a dialogue, like then when you shot that video, and you're becoming more aware of, you know, what's happening with this, and you're you know, running all these thoughts, if you just write down in that moment, I thought, or I felt that the community might not perceive me in the right way, or they'll think that I'm being, I don't know, goofy on camera or something, you know, whatever the thought is. And you write it down, and you write it down, and you write it down. And then if you can keep this journal beside you, and every time you have that thought and you do something, maybe 3, 4, 5 days later, you go back to all that stuff from 3 days ago and you write down what good actually came from it. So for example, you shot that video at the time, you had those, you know, things going in your mind, and then now we're having this call, which maybe is helpful. I hope it is. Maybe there's other people that have reached out or said nice things and like really given you some encouragement and you know, of something that's boosted you to take some action somewhere else or whatever. So if you can write down all the limiting, you know, self-talk that was happening at the time, and then like 3 days later go back and say, right, well, from that event, this good came of it, this good came of it, this good came of it. All right? And you do that for every event where you have that dialogue running in your brain. You go back to it and you go, well, hold on, that gave me that, that gave me that, and that gave me that. Very soon you'll start to subconsciously realize that all these things that you're telling yourselves from all these events that you're doing, all they're doing is producing more good and more good and more good and more good. And it will start to sabotage that dialogue, because subconsciously you'll realize it's all shit. You know, it's all, none of it is true. All that you're doing, every action that you take. I mean, we know, like, for example, approaching a girl in a bar or whatever, you know, I'll still often get the, you know, the dialogue of, oh yeah, but it's, what if she fucking burns me? What if I bomb? What if I look like a twat in front of everyone? And then when I do it, all the things that I say are going to happen never happen. And even if I don't, you know, I'll speak to her for a few minutes or whatever, I'll always feel better in myself, and that might lead to something more like else happening that night or whatever. You know, there's always positives from every situation. But we tell ourselves that the worst is going to happen at all times. But when I think back at every time that I've cold approached a girl in a bar, my worst case scenario has never happened. And even if I haven't got anywhere with her, it's always resulted in something positive to an extent that I can pull from that experience. Always. It's always been better that I've done it than not done it. And so now I tell myself that whenever I'm like, for example, I'll share this now. I went climbing with my brother at the weekend, and there was this French girl there, and she's really hot. And then she was climbing with us for a bit, and then she went to another part of the gym, and I was like, shall I go get a number in the middle of like this rock climbing place when, you know, when there's people everywhere? And she might say no and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know, no, fuck it. Of course I'm going to do it. And she came down the stairs, and I was like, Jace, one sec, with my brother. And I went over, I said, hey, how you doing? And she was like, yeah, good. And I said, one sec. I said, I grabbed my phone out the bag in like the locker thing. And I said, before you go, I'm going to need your number. And I just started chatting to her about it. And then I got a number. I haven't actually messaged her yet. I'll probably do that in a bit. But I got a number. And then I was like, if I hadn't done that, even though I had all this shit and I was like, oh, I'm going to look like an idiot, this isn't the normal setting that I'd ever approach a girl just in some rock climbing gym thing. If I'd listened to all of that, that wouldn't have happened, and I wouldn't have had that experience. And so the only reason that I got to that point in the first place is through recognizing that all the times that I run this dialogue, good happens from it if I go and do it. And I've just reinforced that, you know, that realization to the point where I then can take the action, because subconsciously I know enough that good will come of this, and that has become strong enough to overpower the fear of doing it now, right? So I feel like this, you know, when you're having this dialogue, if you can write it down and then just write down all the good that came of that event, it might help to start reprogram that to the point where it doesn't paralyze you from taking actions that you want to take. Just a thought.
Yeah, no, I can see that being very beneficial. Yeah, it's the same, like, you know, just, and it was brought up in this 5-second rule book as well, you know, it's just realizing that you have that power within you, you know, like regardless if you get this girl's number or not, or regardless if the video, you look like an idiot on the video or not, but just doing these things and realizing that you've got that potential within you to actually just go and do it, regardless of the outcome, then, you know, you just get that, as you say, it just becomes habit, doesn't it? And you just get that deepening sense of something is always coming from that, because I'm just becoming a stronger person, because instead of being ruled by fear all the time, I'm just acting on my intuition and not letting my fucking mind sort me out doing stuff.
Excuse me. Yeah, and also, like, you know, Power of Now, like, the more that you read in other things in conjunction with that, and the more that you take these actions and do that, and then maybe reread the Power of Now again, like, the more you can disconnect from ego and disconnect, like, the essence of who you are from, you know, how people perceive your physical body, and, you know, like, you know, I'm trying to think of what I'm going to say here. So disconnect from ego, disconnect from the future pace and bullshit, basically become present in the moment and realize that however someone perceives you, that doesn't affect the essence of who I am, because I, behind my physical body and behind my ego, will always be me, and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I think it's just part of a bigger picture, isn't it? It's just part of, like, continuing to work on this stuff and continuing to tie it all together to just strengthen yourself and keep moving yourself forward. It's tricky at first. I know it's tricky at first.
Yeah, it is, mate. Yeah, I've taken a lot of value, Dan. Thanks. It's like, yeah, as you say, it's just tricky at first, and I feel it within me that, you know, I need to go through this, and I can see I can feel a bigger picture. You know that. You know, this is all still part of that. It's not like I've joined SFM and now the previous life history is my story. It's like, this is still like the struggle, you know, still climbing up the mountain. So it's still like, this is part of, like, the story and part of the journey that I need to experience, obviously, to get through. It wouldn't be any fun, really, if you just came in and smashed it. You've got to have you down to 27 pounds and just, like, fearful of doing the Facebook lives. Otherwise, you're just the same person, aren't you? If you don't go through all that, then you're still the same person at the end of it. And if you weren't successful before, then you're not going to be successful now, are you? So it's all just like a big development that you're going through as well. So, yeah, I can see it in that light. It's just at times I need to be able to just snap out of it, Sam.
Yeah.
And
sorry, go on.
It's just these kind of calls, man, that make it sort of like, and that's what they say, you know, the power of the community, because it's just, having this sort of chat, it just makes it so much more sort of, you can put it into perspective. Listening to other people's perspective on it really opens your eyes up. So yeah, you're just being an idiot. Sort it out.
That's self-talk.
Yeah.
Happy out, man. I mean, obviously, this type of call, if it's valuable for you, if it's valuable for other people, you know, if anyone's watching this and thinks there's something they want to talk about that can help them and help others who might be in a similar position. Again, Sam, this is a way of giving value. The fact that you said, okay, let's talk about this and let's record it so that other people can help. I mean, I know, and I guarantee when I post this on Facebook, there's going to be, over the next few days, there's going to be comments and comments and comments and comments about how valuable this has been for so many people. So again, this is a way that you've given huge value to a lot of people who are struggling with this. It's valuable, you know, it's really valuable. You're valuable. Your experience is valuable. And just a final thought that I've just thought from, you know, from what you said there, that I kind of wish that I'd done. A lot of the stuff that you say, I can totally relate to from my journey. But now, because it was a while ago that I've gone through that, I can talk about it, but it doesn't have the same impact. But if I had shot videos of points in my journey, like not even shared them, maybe just shot them and just had video footage of me going, I'm really struggling with anxiety. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm just in that moment explaining how I felt about it. And if now I could have shown you that video, that would have been more powerful than me trying to explain what it was like, because I was in it, and the language that I'd have used at that point, you would relate it to, and seeing, holy shit, if Dan can go from that person to this person, I can do it too. So the suggestion that I'm making is, for you, for anyone watching, a great idea would be, when you're struggling with this stuff, almost do like a video journal. Just have, you don't have to share it with anyone, but just have this footage of you explaining, this is me going through anxiety. This is me fearing running out of money. This is me thinking I'm not good enough. This is me doubting my marketing works. This is, you know, all the times that you're facing these challenges. If you've got that footage, and then down the line, when you're at this point and you're getting financial results, you're more comfortable with yourself, you're 12 months from now, Sam, when you're 12 months from now, Sam, you can have this footage of your journey. That will be so valuable for so many of your members coming through. And from a selfish perspective as well, if somebody's, let's say, at elite and they're doubting whether going black is the right decision, and you can show them your journey from start to finish, people can see that they can do it too. Because often they don't relate to, like, the lifestyle team. You know, I look at the lifestyle team when I first started, I'm like, wow, those guys are amazing. But I can't relate to being in my first 3 months and having a 200K month. Like, it's too big of a gap. I can't relate to them anymore. I can relate to somebody that's maybe 3 or 4 months ahead of me. So if you've got those videos of you at that stage in your journey, people can relate to it, and they can see it, and they can see the steps that it's going to take to get there, which would inspire people to believe in themselves and then take action. Right? So it might be worth doing.
Yeah. I don't see that as selfish anyway, because I feel like black is just for people to take that step. It's like the amount of support and stuff you get at that level. It's just, if you can make it happen, it's just so valuable. Like, and that platinum process is just, everyone in that workshop, it's just like, you know, game changer, absolute game changer, life-changing experience. And documenting the, as you say, this whole documenting the video thing is a great idea as well, because it's sometimes when the camera goes on, the different personality comes out. It's just, and getting past that's so difficult. But I feel like when you're really expressing how you feel and your emotions, then that's really a genuine sort of video.
Yeah,
probably helps in that aspect as well, to kind of get rid of this.
If you're filming it not with a view to share it, if you know that this is just for you and you're just going to have it stored in some folder on your computer, and just say to yourself, probably never use it, but then future you will be glad that you got it. I haven't got it, you know. I just feel that it's a good thing for a lot of people to have, and it's worth documenting. Even just 2 minutes, just to share, maybe once a week. How do you feel? How was your week gone? And just have that for future. Really, really powerful stuff.
Yeah, man, it's been a little while, Dan, but it's been an absolute pleasure to catch back up with you. And I really appreciate the time. I know you're a busy man.
Busy-ish.
Yeah.
It's one of these things. Like, we're coming back from America. I've got what day is it today? Tuesday. So I've got 8 days, and then I'm in Birmingham for a while. Then I'm going to Greece. Then I'm in probably Poland or Budapest, and then I'm going to, obviously, Perth in Australia. So I'm like, right, I've got like 8 days. I've got to build a few websites that I need to get wrapped up. So yeah, it's kind of like, I tell myself that I'm not busy, because again, I'm watching myself talk. I'm like, no, I'm not busy. I've got it all covered. But then at the same time, I look at my agenda. I'm like, fuck me.
Shit.
Anyway, different story. Yeah, Sam, awesome to catch up with you, bud. Really appreciate the time. I'll share this in the Facebook group ASAP. And as I say, just watch the comments. Think of, like, you know, how you feel when you come off this call. Maybe write it down, and then in 3 days' time, all the good that comes off it, because I guarantee there'll be a ton of good that comes off it. But yeah, if you need anything else, bud, let me know. Of course, happy to help. But yeah, really good catching up with you.
Yeah, you too, man. You take care, man. Enjoy your 8 days of website building.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Right, catch you soon.
See you later, bud. Bye.